Hi everyone, Will from RunChat here. In this tutorial, we're going to extend the last set on using generated scripts in RunChat for design. This time looking more at generative design use cases, so more complex formal applications, um, and layering several design tools together to produce a fairly complex outcome. So we're going to start just by making a new RunChat. New RunChat, new Rhino file, and new RunChat. So we'll start by making some massing. Um, a good way to make massing is always to paste in a reference image. So I'm going to grab one and we'll generate something from that. Okay, so I've found an image that looks kind of interesting. We'll see if we can get Opus to do something good with this. So we're going to copy the image, paste it in, and we're going to use Opus as our model and make sure we're on Rhino Python. And we're going to say generate a 3D version of this geometry. We should start by creating one curve and then iteratively offset it to produce this kind of gradual variation. Actually, start by creating several curves. Iteratively offset, while avoiding nearby curves. Let's see what it does. That sounds like the kind of thing that used to be quite difficult to write a good script for. So curious to see if it can do something good. Um, I haven't tried this example. We're just going to see what it does. But I think that there's a lot of potential here in terms of being able to provide visual references to coding agents. That's because describing this aesthetic just purely with text is reasonably difficult. But if we do text plus an image, I think we're more likely to get closer to this sort of geometry that I'm interested in. Now, for this tutorial, there's going to be lots of things that we cover. One is going to be generating form like this from reference images. Then in the next video, we're going to be looking at taking this form and creating like fields and I guess patterns over that form. And then in the third video, we'll look at orienting things onto those patterns. So we're basically breaking this first overall form down into smaller and smaller curves. Okay, so Opus is pretty good value for this first run of a script. Let's see what we get. Number of seed curves, 3, sure, 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 sure. Okay, that's pretty weird and interesting. It's not actually that bad. I think I want to reference the seed curves though. So let's say we'll select the initial curves. Okay. So while it's running over there, I'm going to draw some curves. We're just going to do something like do one last one, which is maybe kind of boom, 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 whoops, boom, boom. Chuck them all in 3D. Whoa. Yeah, make some sort of tower geometry or whatever we're going to make. That one's pretty short. Must have accidentally scaled that down. Let's just crank it up. Okay, it's finished doing its thing. Let's see what we got here. Don't like that. Okay. Probably finessing this way too much. Who knows if the script's even going to work. Okay, we'll take that and let's run it and see what we get. So we're going to select seed curves. There we go. Divisions, sure. Offset duration, sure, sure, sure. Whoa, that's pretty funky. I wonder how it ends up with these weird spirals at the top here. But that is going to very much do perfectly for this example. It's not doing anything like what I thought it would do, but you can see it's offsetting. The issue, I guess, is that the interaction distance between these points is nowhere near large enough. So I'd probably need to configure that quite a bit more. But for the sake of this demo, that's honestly not that bad, and it seems like a kind of a strange, happy accident anyway, because there's a lot of like weird things going on with this form that I don't really mind. So, in terms of a tutorial, what we would do next, and I think maybe I will cover it in the next video, is we need to find a way to iterate on this so that it's less tea leaves, not really expecting what you're going to get, and more control. The way that we do that is like the last video, we desperately need a UI for this. So in the next tut, we'll add a UI, we'll configure this a little bit so that we know more about how the parameters are affecting this geometry, and then we'll move on to meshing it and continuing with our design process.